Hi, everybody. Welcome to a new Juju Live session. This time around about the taboos and the prejudices in Egyptian dance. This is an exciting theme, a theme that I feel is important to every lover of Egyptian dance, may that be a student, an amateur dancer, a professional dancer, and the theme that also speaks about our mentality, dealing with different cultures, dealing with realities we don't know about, dealing with freedom, dealing with sexuality, with history, and so much more. It's exciting. And once again, I have selected a few questions on the theme, but I am also inviting you to join me live. So if you are passing by in my Facebook profile, feel welcome to say hi. If you have been practicing Egyptian dance as an amateur or professional dancer, let me know what have been the taboos and the prejudices that have hurt you the most. I am curious to know about the experience of other dancers. Obviously, I'm going to draw from my own experience as a student and then as a professional Oriental dancer, but I would love to know about your experience. What are the taboos and the prejudices that hurt you the most, perhaps offend you the most around the theme of Egyptian dance? And if you have questions on the theme, feel welcome to share them. If I know the answer, I will gladly offer it to you. Okay, so welcome to this Juju Live session. Let me check if we have people with us. I believe I'm gonna see some of my students here. Hi, Tamara. Hello, my dear. Tamara, feel welcome to share your experience about taboos and prejudices. I know that usually people expect me to share my perspective, and that's what I will do. But as I mentioned, I'm always curious to know about the experience of other dancers. So drop your experience. I would love to know it. And here we go. Okay. So for the ones who don't know me yet, I have to deliver the protocol. My name is Joana Saahirah. I'm a world-renowned Oriental dancer, teacher, choreographer, and author. And I am also the creator of the pioneering online platforms Joana Saahirah's World and Joana Saahirah's Online Dance School, delivering authentic Egyptian dance, personal discovery, and empowerment. Without further ado, I am going to start reading from the questions I have selected. There were many more because taboos and prejudices are hot topics in Egyptian dance for many reasons. I selected a few that I feel are going to be familiar to a lot of people in this field. Okay, so we are going to start with what are the biggest taboos and prejudices in relation to Egyptian dance. Okay, so this was actually a question from a journalist. It is not a question from a student, because students and professionals of the field are quite aware of the taboos and the prejudices. The world will make you aware of them very quickly. So this is a question I've been asked by a journalist, and I found it useful to start here, okay? So that we lay the cards on the table and we are all on the same foot. Cool? So what are the biggest taboos and prejudices in relation to Egyptian dance? I would say that the biggest are related with sexuality. They are related with the idea that Egyptian dance is a kind of exotic striptease made to seduce someone. We also have an association between Egyptian dance, professional Egyptian dance, and prostitution, especially in Egypt. I would say particularly in Egypt. I don't think that association exists in the West, not that I'm aware of. So correct me if you have another experience, but my experience between the association of prostitution and Egyptian dance is resumed to Egypt and to all the years I performed and lived in Egypt. In the West, I have not felt it. Okay, so I'm not sure if you feel the same or not, but this is my experience. I can only speak from what I have lived. Okay, so sexuality, prostitution, exotic striptease. There is also this idea that it is a minor art form. One of the reasons why we don't have conservatoires and certified schools and all sorts of respectful standard institutions around the dance It is because it's not considered an art form. And that is true of Egypt. That is true of the Western world. Although in the Western world, we are a little bit better than in Egypt, okay? So in Egypt, is not even part of the culture. It's a part of tourism. It's a part of daily life, but it is not a part of Egyptian culture that Egyptians respect. I'm very sorry to tell you this, but it is the truth. Okay, so the truth shall set us free. Okay, we don't evolve from hiding the truth or from pretending it's not there, what I call the elephants in the room. We evolve from looking at the elephants in the room face to face and dialoguing with them and asking, how can we change this? How can we remove this elephant from the room? Okay, so these for me are the major taboos and the major prejudices. There is also an association between a professional Oriental dancer and stupidity. People assume that if you are working professionally in this field, or if you are remotely involved with it, you must be dumb. I faced this prejudice many times, including while I was being interviewed for television, for newspapers. I remember one journalist who visited me in Cairo. He was writing a reportage, Yani, I don't know how you say it in English, like an entire journalistic piece about me. So he followed me for a week. He came to my shows and interviewed me in different places, in my backstage room, in a coffee shop, during a rehearsal with my musician. So he saw me in different places and he interviewed me about my life in Egypt and my profile as a dancer, as a foreigner in Egypt, as a woman as well. And one of the things that he told me that I never forgot was, after having interviewed me for the week, he wondered, how can someone so intelligent like you be an Oriental dancer? Don't you feel you're losing your time? He actually asked me this in these words. How can someone as intelligent as you be an Oriental dancer? Don't you feel you're losing your time? You're wasting your time because you could be, a lawyer or, a politician or, why are you here? What the hell? So this says a lot about what people imagine is Egyptian dance and what people imagine is a professional of Egyptian dance and what is required to be a professional in this dance field. Okay, let me see if you are sharing your experiences. I always like to know. If you are watching this Juju live session in the recorded format, you can still drop your comments. I'm not going to answer them live, but I promise to take notes. And I always use feedback, okay? So your feedback is precious to me. Even if you're not joining me live, feel welcome to share your experience and your questions, okay? So this is how we launch the theme. Now, let's go for the next question. What do I say to someone who thinks I'm a stripper instead of an Oriental dancer? What do you say to someone? I mean, I will redo this question, okay? So the question is about the association between Egyptian dance and striptease. It's not straightforward striptease. It's like an exotic striptease, like the odalisque seducing the sultan kind of striptease, but it's still striptease, okay? But the question is very much how or what do you say to someone who is bringing a prejudice into the conversation? May that be confusing an Oriental dancer with a stripteaser, or associating Egyptian dance with a lack of intelligence or a lack of morality, a lack of ethical values, of honesty, of character. Whatever the prejudice is, how do you answer them, right? I do believe the context matters, where you are asked and what you are asked and by whom and how makes a big difference. Nowadays, I have to confess, I do not face a lot of prejudice, at least not to my face. If people speak badly about Egyptian dance or about my profession, they don't do so on my face. They do it in my back. And people speak badly about me or about what I do or about the dance in my back. They don't have the guts to say it in face to face because they know they're going to face a storm. Okay. I've been doing this for a long while and I have deep knowledge, therefore deep respect for Egyptian dance. It's not easy to offend me or to offend the dance that I love and the dance that I've been working for and with for such a long time. It's not easy. Okay. So people usually, when they have prejudices around the theme, they do it on my back. They don't deliver it face to face anymore. I don't remember when was the last time someone actually offended me in relation to my work, in relation to the practice of this art form. I don't remember. So it was a while ago. Now, how did I used to answer to offenses, taboos, prejudices, stupid questions like the question from the journalist I just told you? Why would you do this? Or why would someone so intelligent be a professional Oriental dancer? How do I answer? I have two ways of answering. If I'm in a good mood and if the person is showing some sort of respect within the ignorance, if that person is willing to know more, I give myself the trouble to educate the person. So I explain, look, this is what you think, and the reality is this. So I actually took the time on several occasions to explain to that person or group of people what Egyptian dance is all about. What is it that I do? What is the value and the benefits of Egyptian dance? May that be in the context of performance, of writing, of teaching, choreographing. But that was when the other person on the other side was worthy of an answer. And sometimes the person is not worthy of an answer. You have to evaluate case by case. So if the person was worthy of an answer, if he or she showed some sort of interest, genuine interest and ignorance paired with the willingness to know more, and if I was in a good mood, I would offer an educative answer. But if I felt disrespect and a total lack of interest for the theme, yani the offense for the offense, the stupidity for the stupidity, what I would usually do was to shut them out with irony and sarcasm, so subtle and so sophisticated they would be confused. Is she offending me back? I'm not sure. She doesn't look like she's offending me, but I feel something is off. So I would leave them hanging on the thread. I'm the stupid Oriental dancer, remember? I'm the idiot, so don't expect much from me. Very ironic, very sarcastic, and most of the time they would not understand if I was offending them back, if I was being ironic, because I'm an actress in the end of the day, so when I want to make someone confused, I will make them confused. Okay. But if someone is willing to know more, it is an opportunity to educate someone, especially when we're talking about journalists, people working on TV that have the power to spread the message, right? One thing is a stranger or even a friend or family member not having the respect for what you do as an Oriental dancer. Another thing is someone in a position of spreading a message, asking you a dumb question or making an offensive comment around Egyptian dance. And you have the opportunity to educate that person. And that person, due to the context that person is operating with, has the opportunity to spread a different message. So I remember when I started my career, even before I moved to Egypt, I would go on television to be interviewed about events and shows and, everything that I was doing. And I always found it precious to have such a powerful medium of communication, such as television or written press. And I did not mind if I had a dumb question. I did not mind if the journalist was not prepared, if someone made a nasty comment, because I knew that was a great opportunity for me to spread a different message and to educate. So you have to evaluate case by case, moment by moment, and know when it is worth to educate someone, when it is not worth it, and when it is worth to ignore it or to take it and to use it in your favor and in the favor of the promotion of the dance. Okay. Diplomacy also helps, but I think sometimes you have to put people on their place. Okay. If there is a direct offense, if there is a direct prejudice delivered in a disrespectful manner, I have no problems in putting people in their places. All right. And I hope you haven't too, because it's a tough world. And the reality is that we have to stand up for ourselves. Okay. And sometimes the only language people know, it's the same language they're using. Okay. Let me see who is here. Hi, Jamila. Welcome. Hi, darling. Tamara says, I have heard and saw many things that have bothered me, such as I do pole dancing. Yeah, that's a good one, right? It's the pole dancing association or the striptease. I would say pole dancing, striptease go hand in hand with Egyptian dance in the minds of a lot of people. Making fun by showing one's tummy to me, right? That doesn't happen for a long time with me, but I remember when people used to do that. That is annoying, isn't it? That is so annoying. It's so stupid. Thinking I'm easy, loose, and definitely the sex comments. Exactly, right? I'm pretty sure everybody who practices Egyptian dance has been through the kind of moment, hi Nuraya, when you tell them, this is what I do Egyptian dance, whatever, as a student, as a professional, it doesn't matter. I practice Egyptian dance, and they go like, whoa, as if you were doing something forbidden, as if you were doing something slightly illegal. All right. And I go like, whoa, why? I don't know, because my perspective is so different, right? So sometimes the interesting thing is to notice the contrast between what people imagine that you do and what you actually do. I don't know if you've seen one of those memes where you have pictures of what people think I do, what my parents think I do, what I actually do, what I think I do. In Egyptian dance, we have a lot of projections. There is what people imagine we do, right? And then there is what we actually do. And then there is what we want to do. So for me, because I started working in the field so early on, I've always had a very peculiar perspective on Egyptian dance because I've been an insider for a long time. I worked for barely 2 years in Portugal before I moved to Egypt at 23. I was only 23 years old when I moved to Egypt to start my career. And by going to Egypt, I mean started to work in Egypt. All right. In Lebanon, in Oman, I went all around and then stood in Egypt for 8 years and working nonstop with my band for 8 years. So I was very much in the bubble in such a way that outsiders to the dance have no idea. So when people told me about what they thought about Egyptian dance, and I'm speaking about Egyptians and foreigners, okay? Egyptians also have prejudices and taboos in relation to Egyptian dance. It's not only foreigners, okay? Big time, they have. I always found it very interesting and distant what they thought I did and what I actually did, right? Because my routine was very, very oriented around dance. I was working in the afternoon and throughout the evening with my musicians in my regular shows. We had weddings and special events aside from my daily shows. In the mornings, I was working with Mahmoud Reda as his assistant of choreography and teaching. I was also studying with him. I was taking classes with other dancers like Soher Zeki, like Azar Sharif, the ones that I really like and appreciate. My life was happening around dance. And I mean, totally, deeply around dance. I danced, I rehearsed, I prepared to perform, I rehearsed again with my musicians, I worked with Mahmoud in his studio, I studied about dance, I performed again, I rehearsed again, I went to the gym, I took care of my body to keep it up because it was very demanding. And I had this idea of Egyptian dance as an art form and a job, a very demanding job that I loved with all my soul. And my idea, which came from my experience, was totally different from the idea people that I call outsiders thought of me as an Oriental dancer and thought about the dance. I have another story for you. At some point, I was searching for a new apartment. So I landed on a building in Mohandasin, if I'm not mistaken. That's an area of Cairo. And I was interviewed by the landlord's sister, an older Egyptian woman, mohagaba, yani with scarf, apparently very, very religious, very conservative. And she sat down at the apartment with me, asking me, about negotiating the price for the apartment and when did I want to move in. And then she asked me, what do you do? Bum, 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 bum. What do you do? This is a dangerous question in Egypt. If you are a professional ra'asa, yani if you are a professional Oriental dancer, this is not the question you want to hear. Because you know that if you say the truth, you're either going to be sexually harassed, you are going to be disrespected, you are going to be attacked in some way, shape, or form. You know that. And I knew that, right? But I don't like lying. And actually, I was and still am very proud of my profession and very proud of who I am. So why should I hide? I thought, damn it, I'm going to tell her the truth, So I told her, I'm a professional Oriental dancer. I work here with my musicians. I also work with Mr. Mahmoud Reda. She was impressed with Mahmoud, of course. Oh, you work with Mr. Mahmoud Reda? Yes. But you also work with your musicians. Where do you dance? I told her, the truth. And then she told me, you know what? This is a respectful building. This is a family building and respectful. We don't want late night parties with men coming in and out of your home. Bitch, really? Yes, she told me that. Guys, she told me that. And of course, you don't want to step me, in the wrong place. You don't want to poke the wrong place, man. I was so pissed off when she told me this. I felt so disrespected and so minimized as a person. I told her, you know what, lady? You may have time to receive men all night long. I don't have that kind of time. I work all the time. And when I mean all the time is all the time, every day. If I want to have a day off, I have to ask in advance. I have to ask and it's not guaranteed. I don't have vacations for years now. I don't have time to have late night parties and men coming out and going. You do have time. So you may have that kind of behavior. I don't have time for that. She was very offended with me, very offended. I said, Haib, why are you telling me this? I am a married lady. I am respectful. No. I am telling you what you just told me. You are not more than me. Yani why? Because I'm a dancer and you are Egyptian, you are mohagaba. What is the deal, lady? If you can say it to my face, I can say it to your face. She was very offended. But I was just giving her back, what she had delivered. And I was telling her the truth. I was being very straightforward. I don't have the time for that. Even if I corresponded to the prejudice, to the idea you have of Oriental dancers, even I would not have the time for it or the energy. So the answer is no. I'm not going to do late night parties. I'm working at night and I come home. I just need to rest so that I can do it all over again the next day. I have to rest and to rest well. Take good care of me. So no, the answer to your question is no. So there is a lot of distance between what people believe you do and what you do as an Oriental dancer. What people believe Egyptian dance is and what Egyptian dance actually is. Okay. And I do believe that it is a part of our job to educate people, okay, when they're worthy of being educated, when it's worthy. Okay. So what else do we have here? What else? What can we do to erase the taboos and prejudices around Egyptian dance? What can we do? I think that I've partially answered this question. I do believe that education is key, and bringing Egyptian dance out of the ghettos and the lobbies is important. Also, years ago, one of my teachers, a beautiful teacher, had this interesting conversation with me. She was very upset with me because I was starting to work with Egyptian dance. This was before I moved to Egypt. And I was going on television and I was being interviewed to promote Egyptian dance and to promote my work as well. And she thought Egyptian dance was not to be promoted that way. She thought it was a niche. She believed with all her heart Egyptian dance was only for a few, that it was not beneficial to bring it to television or to bring it to the press, to make it accessible to everybody. We disagreed. And I still disagree with her. More than 20 years later, I still disagree with her, because I do believe that the more education we have around the theme, the less prejudices and taboos we're gonna receive. I also believe that we have to walk the talk. What do I mean by this? Sometimes I hear dancers telling about how they feel disrespected, how Egyptian dance is not respected. They wish things would be different. They wish people would be more respectful, more this, more that. And I ask them, what are you doing to change those prejudices and those taboos? What are you doing to change that reality? Because look, it's easy to pinpoint other people and to say it's their fault. They are ignorant. They don't know. They are stupid. It is easy, but it's worthless. It's fruitless. You know, if you don't educate people around the dance that you love, and if you do not walk your talk, if you are not a respectful dancer, a professional dancer, if you are not an artist, if you don't do things with a high standard of quality and ethical values and passion and integrity, people are not going to change their mind. They're not going to feel any different around the theme of Egyptian dance and Oriental dancers. You have to show a different view so that people start believing in a different view. While I was working in Egypt, I also had this conversation with other dancers, a few dancers, not many, that were working in different places in Cairo. And I was telling them, I feel we have a huge responsibility to represent a different way of operating in Egyptian dance and to change the perception of Egyptian dance and Oriental dancers. So in order to change that perception, you have to elevate the way you do what you do. All right. You cannot speak about respect and then be disrespectful. You cannot complain that people associate Egyptian dance with striptease and then you go about and you do a kind of exotic striptease. You cannot complain that people don't take it seriously if you are not professional, if you don't demand that professionalism from you. You cannot complain if you don't deliver, right? So instead of complaining, people are stupid, people are disrespectful, people don't know. I mean, do you know about everything? You don't know about everything. I don't know about everything. If I speak about, I don't know, agriculture, well, I do know a little bit about agriculture, but if I speak about mathematics, I'm going to look like an idiot because I don't know about mathematics. I will need someone to teach me. It is true, I don't disrespect mathematicians, and I don't think they do pole dancing. Although they may, right? And I have nothing against pole dancing, by the way, huh? Quite the opposite. But it's not Egyptian dance, okay? It's not the same. It's a different thing. My point is, you have to prove them wrong. And we prove them wrong not only through the education, spreading the word. What is Egyptian dance? What is Egyptian music? What is Egyptian culture? How does it look like? How does it feel like? What is the beauty of it? What is the value of it? A lot of it is education, but a lot of it is walking your talk. And if you want respect, be respectful. If you want to be treated like a professional, be professional. If you want people to treat you like an artist, be an artist. Do your work from a high artistic level. It all comes down to delivering the value you wish others to recognize. Okay? And a lot of dancers don't do that. They focus on the ignorance. They focus on, oh, they don't know. Oh, they are, misleading us, or they are mistreating us. Forget about it. Everybody is ignorant about many things. The question is if we are setting the standard And if we are educating people in all sorts of ways so that the taboos and the prejudices are replaced more and more by knowledge, awareness, and respect. Okay. What else? What else? How do I deal with haters? Ah, I love that. Who doesn't love haters? Let me know in the comments. What is your relationship with haters? What is your relationship with haters, guys? Ah, can you handle them? Can you laugh? Do you take it seriously? What is your relationship with haters? I love haters. I love it. Actually, they are a symptom of success. When you are successful, especially if you are successful for a consistent amount of time, right, which annoys people. People deal well with sudden success, people that come and go fast. They think you're the best, you're great. But if you are successful for a long time and you do not show signs of going away, they start to get restless. Why is this still on? Why she's not dead yet? you know because they want your space. They believe that they need your space of some sorts, when there is space for everybody. If you are doing a unique service, to your dance, to your art, to your community, to your audience, to your students, there is a place for everybody. Okay, one person doesn't have to disappear so that another person can appear. There is no standing in the shadow of someone. You only stand in the shadow when you are not owning your own shine, your own sun, your own light. Then you are in the shadow. Okay, but it's not the other person's fault. It's your fault because you're not owning your light. You're not owning and living from your identity. You're not putting it out as you could. Okay, so how do you deal with haters, guys? Jamila says haters gotta hate, right? Oh my God. I have a funny story, guys, about haters. There was one message that I received. I don't remember exactly the words, but it was so nasty, so nasty. And because I love psychology and I love to understand people's motivations, right? So that day, I must have been in a good mood also. So I was curious, why is this person so mean? Why would someone message me privately to say you are horrible, stop what you are doing, you are terrible, stop now? She actually told me to stop dancing. Stop, stop, stop. I cannot stand you anymore. Something like that. I asked her, why? Why so much hate? And why do you hate me so much? You don't know me, you know? And she told me, because you do what you do. That was her answer, straight to God. Swear to God, because you do what you do. What do I do? I don't know. I'm confused now. Haters will hate. And usually, haters are a black mirror. Okay, so what do I mean by this? They see in you something they're not owning, a talent they are not developing, confidence they are not owning, identity, strength, things that exist in them, but they're not owning, they're not bringing out. And you are the living proof that those things exist and they are real and they can be put out there, but they're not doing it. You are. So you become a black mirror. You become a shadow mirror of what they could be, but are not. Okay, so that triggers people. It triggers their frustration. It triggers their lost dreams. It triggers their insecurities. It triggers the dreams they did not dare to chase. It triggers so many things. I understand. This is one of the reasons I deal relatively well with haters, because I understand. I am not stupid, and I understand where that hatred is coming from. Okay. Let me read what you are sharing. My mother always said, ignore ignorance, says Jamila, but she was passive type personality. I want to take it one step further. Don't simply ignore, but educate. Yes, I agree, Jamila. I agree. I do think that, as I mentioned, some people are open for it and some are not, right? So if someone offends you just for the sake of offending you, using your profession as a vehicle, which also happens, and they're not willing to learn, they're not interested. I mean, I'm not going to lose my time, but if someone wants to learn, if someone does not know better but is willing to know better, I will educate. especially if it is in a context that I know can have an impact. That's why I mentioned television, press, internet. We have the power to educate people now at a scale that we did not have in previous generations. When I started, we did not have this internet. Most of my shows, they were never recorded. They are not online. I did not care for that because the world was different, right? We lived in real life and we did not register every single gesture as dancers do now, right? They perform one time in Cairo in a discotheque or whatever. I'm dancing in Cairo. Everything is filmed and everything is online and it's alive. Oh my God. I danced at the best spots in Egypt and I didn't even record it. I just did it, because I was there to do it. I was not there to show that I was doing, right? So education is key, but in my opinion, and other dancers may think differently, education in the right context towards the right people, the ones who are willing and interested. Otherwise, just, go to hell. Ah, hi, Patricia. Hi, Patricia. Patricia says, hi, Joana, could you give more examples of specific scripts or texts? What exactly you might suggest saying in reply when a dancer has gotten the prejudice reaction? You are good with words. Thank you, honey. Not always. Can you think of any specific phrases or sentences that might be helpful? Okay, so my answers are usually very spontaneous and they come from the situation and from the person who is asking me something or who is offending me. Okay, I do think that, first of all, clarifying that Egyptian dance is an art form. It's a dance tradition, it's an art form connected to an ancient culture. That is always the starting point because that positions the dance. And it positions you as a connoisseur of the dance history, okay, which a lot of Oriental dancers are not, sadly, because dancers are so obsessed about the movements, about, the steps. And I know that's dance, right? But that's not all you should be focusing on, especially if you want to change mentalities. If you want to erase taboos and prejudices, you cannot resume your involvement in Egyptian dance to the steps and to the movements. You have to study the history. You have to know why the prejudices and the taboos, where they come from, and how to answer them in an efficient way. And the most efficient way is facts. You deliver the facts. Egyptian dance is an art form coming from Egypt. It had this development, this history. It arrived to our days. This is how it is practiced today. This is what I do. This is the people I work for. This is the level of my dance. This is why I do it. Go for the facts and for the history. One of the reasons why I always tell students, read about the history, read the good books. By the way, very soon I'm going to produce a video for my YouTube channel on the books every Oriental dancer must read. I have been postponing this because I'm always so busy, but I'm going to do it. I promise you. Okay. So this is an important subject to me because I've always been not only deeply involved with the profession, the practical actual dance, but the history, the study, the literature around it, the authors, educating myself so that I can educate other people. The big problem, Patricia, is that very often the dancer is not educated about the history, about the origins, about the value of the dance. The dancer loves to dance and it's beautiful. This is how it should be. But in order to answer to taboos and prejudices, you have to be prepared, like going to war. You need your weapons. Okay? You cannot go without weapons. Okay? It's like going to war, man. I say, what? You think I'm a stripteaser? Wait a second. Bam, 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 bam. I know exactly what my weapons are. Okay? It has to be this way. And the problem is that so many dancers are not educated. They don't know the history of the dance. They don't know who are the musicians. They don't know who are the iconic dances. They don't know the evolution of the dance. They don't know the difference between shaabi, baladi, raqs al-sharqi, folklore. They don't know. They don't know. And if they don't know, they cannot educate. So, Patricia, my answer to you would be educate yourself. Get those weapons, those guns, so sharp, so shiny, that when someone comes at you with a prejudice, with a taboo, with an offense, you know exactly what to tell them. Okay. And you tell them not from an opinion point of view, but you tell them from factual point of view, which has a very different power. Okay. Let me see if I'm missing some comments. Facebook is weird. Sometimes it hides comments and I only see them later. Guys, if I am skipping a question, please repost it, okay? Please repost it because I'm not checking, I'm not finding more questions, but there may be. There may be. Now, let's move forward. And I ended up not telling you how I deal with haters. So, depending on the hater, you know, I'm either going to ignore. Sometimes I answer. I have answered, but mostly I ignore. And I have blocked people of social media. I have learned from haters. Okay, also why they hate me, why they hate to dance, why this. If you don't take it personally, which I don't, it has zero to do with me, you can learn from haters. Okay, but mostly I ignore them. Yeah, I ignore them. It's a part of being out there and doing something and bothering people with your success and with your presence and with the quality of what you do. You would think that if you are very good at what you do, if you are the best at what you do, you will not have haters, right? Wrong. If you are the best at what you do, you will have a lot of haters, more haters than if you are mediocre. Okay, if you are mediocre, you have sympathy, you have company, you have a lot of pals, a lot of companionship. But if you stand out, you are going to attract a lot of hatred. It happens with every field, it happens with everyone. It has very little to do with you. Okay, so don't take it personally. How do I educate people who don't want to be educated? I don't. This is a very easy, straightforward. I don't educate people who don't want to be educated. If you ask me if I want to know about war strategy, I will tell you I'm not interested. Or if I want to know about gossip, not interested. There are subjects that are of no interest to me. People will not educate me in them because I will not allow them. I don't have the time for it. I'm not interested. I admit that many people are not interested in Egyptian dance. Just because I am, it doesn't mean the entire world is. Okay, so it is important also to remove ourselves from our belly. Just because I love it, just because I find value in it, it doesn't mean everybody will, and it's fine. It's fine. We are different people. So if somebody does not want to be educated, I will not educate them. I say, be happy doing whatever you are doing, and studying what you are studying, and it's great because it's a world where we can have different interests, different passions, and we can cohabitate with our differences. Okay, so I'm totally fine with people who do not want to know more. They don't have to. Okay, let me see what I am missing here. Tamara, yes. Okay. I asked about those dancers that hide that they are dancers from work colleagues, from other jobs, or even family members or friends or new people they meet. Really? Okay. I did not know that, Tamara. I never did that. Also because it was impossible to do that. People already know of my work before I tell them about my work, usually. Okay, this was true in Egypt. Egypt is a very small market, at least the market I was in, very small. It's literally half a dozen dancers, not more, and not even half a dozen. It's really, really small. So people know who is dancing and they know you. I could not lie if I wanted to. I never lied to family because very early on, they knew what I was doing. My parents were very supportive, very supportive. And my grandparents loved it. They loved to watch me on television, and it was out there. I was showing up on television, in newspapers. People knew it from very early on. I had no opportunity to hide, even if I wanted to. But I never wanted to. I never felt that I needed to. And I had no idea that people do that. I mean, maybe, yeah, I admit that may be the case. Jamila says, oh yes, Tamara. Okay, so this may be a theme. Guys, tell me more about it. I don't know. I never experienced that, and I was convinced that did not occur. I don't know. Hi, Mohammed. ازيك. Salamu alaikum. It is easy to hide here in Canada because there are many different communities separate from each other. Okay, okay. I'm trying to follow, but I admit I do not know much about it. So I have nothing to offer you there, Tamara. It's not my reality, and I do not know about that, but I admit, and I find it very sad, isn't it? I do know that in Egypt, Egyptian dancers often hide their work from families. I do know in Egypt because parents don't want their daughters or their sisters. You know, people don't want their sisters. The husbands don't want their wife to be an Oriental dancer. It's really taboo. It's yani haram, 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 forbidden by God, aib, yani something disrespectful, and they don't want. So people hide. In Egypt, Egyptian dancers often hide their work from family members and sometimes even from husbands. I heard stories like that, that the woman, I don't know how they managed because they have to go out of the house, they have to wear makeup, you know. I don't know how they managed, but I heard about stories of dancers who managed to hide their work from their husbands. And of course, in Egypt, while I was living and performing there, I broke up with at least three relationships, three, because I was an Oriental dancer and my partner did not want me to work, much, much less as an Oriental dancer. So they put me against the wall and they asked me, it's either me or your work. And I say, okay, bye. I will see you next life. Three relationships. So I actually know what I'm speaking about. But that's in Egypt, right? I had no idea that in the West, people had to hide their dance from co-workers and family members. I don't know. What the hell? Really? Does that really happen? Still happens? I don't know. Tell me more about it because I am not familiar with that reality. I would say if somebody asked me if that still happens, I would say no, it doesn't happen. But it seems that it does. So I'm always learning. I don't know. It's very sad. Um, yeah, Tamara, it is. It is very sad. Jamila says, early in my interviews for science education positions, I would always mention it because I didn't want to work in an institution where I had to defend myself. Well done. Yeah, I know what you mean, Jamila. Well put. It is a part of my curriculum vitae, along with publications of scientific journals. I am so proud of you, Jamila. I am so proud. And I'm pretty sure you honored it and you honor yourself. It's so beautiful. Yes, absolutely. My curriculum is all Egyptian dance. So, I mean, I cannot hide, even if I wanted to. Everything I've ever done is connected to Egyptian dance, or practically everything, you know. So I would say do not hide. And just like Jamila mentioned, if you are in a place where you will not be accepted because you do Egyptian dance, maybe it's not your place. Maybe it's not a place to be. I don't know. I know that there are needs and there are survival issues sometimes. I do understand that. Okay. I do not come from a privileged background at all. So I understand our need to survive, but I also know that our need to survive is not incompatible with values and with the courage of saying, no, I will not hide. And if you don't respect me, this is not my place. Okay. I know from experience that when you respect yourself and when you operate at the highest level, there are always opportunities that will be offered to you or opportunities that you can create. You do not have to accept disrespect and hiding. Okay. What else? How do I, is there a way to avoid judgment from outsiders? I don't think there is a way. People will judge you no matter what you do. Even if you are a ballerina dancing the Swan Lake in Moscow, in the Bolshoi theater, you will have people judging you and you will have people criticizing you whenever you express yourself in public. And even if you're not in public, even in families, even in relationships, people judge each other, right? They criticize each other. It is part of human nature and we cannot avoid it. But you can create a certain detachment from people's opinions and take them with a grain of salt. In Portugal, we say if opinions were valuable, we would not offer them, we would sell them. Meaning everybody's got an opinion, okay? And everybody's ready to judge and to criticize in all sorts of contexts, in the public arena for sure, and in private arena as well. Of course, the more you do, the more you put yourself out there, the more you express yourself, the louder your voice, the more you will be judged and criticized because you have more exposure, you have more people receiving you and what you do. And if you have more people receiving you and what you do, it is statistically proven that you are gonna get more feedback. And that feedback can be positive, it can be pleasant, or it can also be negative. It is part of it. You know, I'm going to tell you another story. When I published my first book, The Secrets of Egypt, Dance Life and Beyond, that was in 2013, 10 years ago. Oh my God, 10 years ago. 10 years ago. Now I realize 10 years ago, a long time. I received emails of dancers telling me, you are a dancer, you are not a writer. Why are you doing this? They were upset with me because I wrote and published a book. Can you believe it? I thought it was so funny. The entitlement of someone who believes they read your book, okay, and they say, why is she writing a book? She's a dancer. She should keep her mouth shut and dance. And then emailing me to tell me, why are you doing this? You're a dancer. You're not a writer. Stop that. I found it hilarious. Hilarious. The entitlement, the narcissism, the arrogance, and the prejudice, because this also has to do with the prejudice. If you're a dancer, you must be stupid. If you're a dancer, you cannot write. If you're a dancer, you cannot teach. If you're a dancer, you don't have brains. You cannot be a dancer who writes. You cannot be a dancer who is something else. You have to be a stupid, dumb ass. That's it. Okay. And if you're not, people get confused and they get mad because you are challenging their taboos and their perceptions and their misconceptions. You are challenging their ignorance. Okay. And that triggers people. Okay. So it is important to create a certain impermeability, a certain detachment from the judgment and criticism, because they will always be there. And the more you do, the more feedback you will receive. Again, if you receive more feedback, you're going to receive the good and the bad. It comes with a package and it's fine. It's usually about the person who's judging, not about you. That's the fun part. Okay. When somebody tells me, Joana, you should not be writing this book because you're a dancer, you're not a writer, they're telling me about themselves, not about me. They don't know me from anywhere. I've always written. I've studied creative writing. I actually write a lot. It's normal for me. I'm not only a dancer, I'm a voracious reader. There's so much people don't know about me, right? And they don't have to know. I'm fine with that. They know me as a dancer, but it is not their job or their place to tell me what I should or should not do. So when they try to limit me, they speak about their own limitations and they speak about their own mindset. They don't speak about me. I don't get offended easily. It's really hard to offend me, especially these days. Okay, so I find it funny and endearing sometimes. But it is a reality that you have to deal with. So if you have a fragile ego, if you are easily offended, if you are thrown off your center every time someone criticizes you or says something bad about you and your work, you are in bad sheets. You cannot do this professionally because you're going to drive yourself mad. So either you remove yourself from the equation and you create a certain distance from external feedback, or you cannot do it consistently, okay? It is wonderful to receive people's feedback, and it is wonderful to receive constructive criticism, which is very different from haters and judgment and destructive criticism, okay? A constructive critic can save you. It can pull you up It can upgrade you and your work like nothing else. I love constructive criticism. And I ask for constructive criticism from my students, for instance, very frequently. How can I do better? What did you like? What you did not like? What could have been better? What could I change? What's working? What's not? It's super important. Okay? Because that helps me do better. I can handle it. I'm not a child. Okay, so tell me what I could be doing better from your perspective, and I will consider it and I will use it. I have used constructive criticism many times in my work and in my life. Many, many times. As a performer, as a teacher, as a choreographer, as an author, I have used constructive criticism, but negative criticism, the critic that is only meant to pull you down, to hell with it. To hell with it. Okay. It is a strange alliance, science and the arts, but what a wonderful relationship it is. And Jamila, in my opinion, there is an alliance between dance and everything else. There is a connection between dance and science, dance and literature, dance and theater, dance and cinema. If you have that artistic training and sensibility, you will see a connection between everything. Dance and painting, dance and sculpture, it's all connected. Okay. Now, last question. We're almost closing. Do all Oriental dancers feel disrespected? And how do I demand respect as a dancer? I don't know if all Oriental dancers feel disrespected. I believe that at some point they will, unless they hide what they do. And if they hide, it already tells you a lot from how they are treated. If they feel the need to hide, it means there is disrespect of some sort. So I do think that all Oriental dancers will feel disrespected at some point. How do I demand respect as a dancer? You do not demand, you earn it. Da, 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 da. Aywa. You don't demand respect. You are not Mussolini. You are not Hitler. You don't demand respect. You earn respect, which is a different process. So again, instead of pointing fingers and getting mad at people because they don't know better and they're offensive and they're this and they're that, point the finger back at you. Okay? That finger, put it back here and ask, am I earning their respect? Am I doing respectful, high quality work? Am I respecting myself as a woman, as a dancer? Am I respecting my craft? Am I educating myself, therefore able to educate others? Am I someone who respects herself as a human being? Does my conduct, my behavior, my moral code and behavior speak of respect? That's earning respect. You don't demand respect. Very often, I had this conversation with my musicians in Egypt because they felt I was kind of a unicorn, a very strange creature. They never saw a dancer like me and someone behaving like me. I was weird in all sorts of ways. So they were always observing me, almost like you would observe a wild animal in the savannah. You know, what is that? We don't know how to deal with her. But one thing they knew I respected myself because they saw me respecting myself. Propositions of job in dance, in cinema, in exchange for becoming the new girlfriend of the director, becoming the new girlfriend of the boss. Propositions of friendship with rich Arab guys who would pay me or buy me an apartment in exchange for a large sum of money or for a big opportunity. They saw me every day acting in a respectful way and saying no to a lot of invitations that most dancers would say yes to. That's earning respect. I did not have to demand respect. Never, never. You don't demand respect. You earn respect by being respectful, by respecting yourself, your art, and other people. Okay? This is how we earn respect. And this is how I will close this Juju Live session. Thank you guys for popping up and sharing your questions. Let me see what you have shared that I did not address. Hi, Xian. My parents used to ask if it is okay to belly dance if I were to get married. Really? Xian, but you are from Japan. You are not Egyptian. How come? Really? That happens in Japan. Would the guy's parents mind? Whoa, okay. I guess Japan is a conservative society, right? I guess. Also, people have the perception of belly dancers wearing two-piece costume and showing off the flesh. Okay, that's another situation, right? Because guys, look, we have dancers in classical ballet, in jazz, in modern dance, in Argentinian tango, wearing much less clothing than Oriental dancers. And nobody thinks it's provocative. Nobody thinks it's strange. If an Oriental dancer shows her belly, it's the end of the world. Come on, guys, give me a grip. Get a grip and give me a break. Okay? Give me a break. I have practiced classical ballet since I was 5, right? I remember the kind of clothing that I wore in class. It was just maillot and pantyhose. That's it. You could see everything in my body, everything. But people did not think it was a revelation or provocative or wow, something exciting. They just took it for granted, right? But Oriental dancers, for some reason, if they show an arm, oh, that's so provocative. She's trying to seduce someone. Why? Get a grip, you know? So I had no idea that Singapore, okay, yes, you are from Singapore. I had no idea that people still thought about that way in the West. I had no idea. I had no idea. I think this is a theme for us to explore in the future because it is so rich and it is so important, I believe. Tamara says yes about the costumes point. Yeah, I mean, don't go there, right? Let's not go there because there is again, there is an exaggeration in relation to people and the way they see Oriental dances. Now, I know because I have seen on social media people criticizing dancers for wearing very skimpy clothing, right? I usually ignore those posts because I don't think they're constructive. Then again, if they're not going to build anything, they're not going to add anything positive, I ignore it. Okay. It doesn't mean that I like it. It doesn't mean that I think it's adding to the dance, but it doesn't bother me. I do think that the costumes we wear must serve the dance, the comfort and the efficiency that we need to have. Okay, so it is important to wear clothing that you are comfortable with, that serves the style that you're dancing, and that allows you to move efficiently in comfort. The fact that people find the costumes in Egyptian dance so alluring and so provocative, but they don't find anything wrong with seeing ballerinas in classical ballet practically naked on stage, that's a topic for a very long conversation. Okay, that is not going to fit in this Juju live session, but I'm leaving the reflection in the air. Okay, why are we so scandalized when we see an Oriental dancer showing her chest or showing her legs or her belly, and why do we think it's so normal for a ballerina or a tap dancer or jazz dancer or an Argentinian tango dancer to be practically naked, right? And we think that's art, that's beautiful, that's part of the dance. But Egyptian dances, they can't. Oriental dances, they can't. Okay, we automatically assume it's scandalous. Why? This is the fire I'm leaving in the air. Guys, thank you so much for the conversation. Thank you, Shan. Thank you, Tamara. Thank you, Jamila. Thank you, Mohammed. Thank you, Joanna, for showing up live. And once again, what I'm going to invite you to do is to share questions and experiences in the comments. I promise to read and to answer. And I always make a point at using every feedback. Okay, sooner or later, your feedback is used. All right, so that we can discuss these things, we can enjoy this dance with more respect, with more benefits, with more joy and more freedom. Okay. Last but not least, I'm going to invite whoever is not a part of my platform to join us. There is a free and fabulous newsletter that I send to my inner community. When you subscribe to the newsletter, you get access to our news, our gifts, updates, offers, inspirations, stuff that I only share inside my platform. I'm going to share the link to our newsletter in case you want to subscribe in the comments if you're watching this at my Facebook, and in the description box below the video if you happen to be watching it in my YouTube channel. Okay, either way, you're going to find the link. Join us if you want to become a part of the platform and eventually a part of Joana Saahirah's online dance school, but not necessarily. There's a lot of dancers who are in my platform and are not in my school, and that's perfectly cool. They enjoy the free content and the inspiration and the connection, and I don't mind. I love it. Okay, so you are welcome to join, even if you're not ready to join the school yet. I like to have people engaged, in love with dance and celebrating life together. Okay. Thank you for being here, guys. Once again, I will see you soon. Until then, all my love and my usual kiss. Mwah.